Hey, how are you all doing today? Good. We hope you are doing well. I'm just trying to get comfortable here, you know, I feel a little weird. But
so, ladies, I think we should.
Hey girl, hey guy.
Let's point out the obvious. Dolores Makeup is bomb.com.
It's thebomb.com.
Look at it! Not .org or .net, but .com.
.net.
.com.
.net.
So let's talk about. Let's
talk about something taboo.
Christian dating, Christian relationships, Christian stuff.
Something Christian. Taboo stuff. Things we don't typically.
Or we're gonna talk about the necessary things that you should talk about when you're dating for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
What are some key things you need to know?
Key things that we need to know.
Are you crazy?
Is how old you are. Do you have a job? Do you have a bank account?
Can you handle my
crazy? Do you have a savings
crazy?
account? Do you have land? Do you have a...
Oh, there's a girl on YouTube actually. She said something like, I gave you my 20s, but I'm not willing to give you my 30s.
I love that statement because, well, because you have the power to move, and you ultimately have control over your temple, over you, and you're accountable. I feel like for you, just like they teach us, you're accountable for your actions. You are accountable for you, especially if you know. Let's just scratch like I'm responsible for my kids and my husband, but you're responsible for your own happiness. I think I seen that posted somewhere. Someone was saying like, don't allow someone your happiness to depend on someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like your happiness and your joy, that should be coming from something that's greater. So that it's in here. That you should be looking towards someone to give you joy. The joy should be in here.
Joy.
So don't let anyone influence your happiness.
That is so hard to do.
Well, you were talking about the things that you should be talking about before marriage. So since we're talking about taboo,
the taboo stuff,
the taboo things, okay. I guess when it comes to Christianity, you know, sometimes you like, I'm a virgin and you're a virgin and we've never experienced this.
That makes it more grand.
It does make it more grand.
But then and at the same time, even though, especially if it's two virgins, I do also feel like it should be talked about as well, because one person may not want to do it so often. One may think that it only happens ever so often or on special occasions.
Expectation.
I definitely do think that sex before marriage and sex in a especially when you become committed a relationship.
I'm just a little uncomfortable, to tell you the truth. Is it necessary before you get married that you have to talk about your sexual expectations?
Yes.
Expectations should be a very important topic.
All expectations should be
all
on the table, noted, so every single individual knows what they're getting into.
But we're talking about taboo things.
Right.
Okay.
So sex.
Sex. Expectations when it comes to relations between a husband and wife.
Right. Because everyone has their own experiences.
Yeah.
And some doesn't. Some believe that certain things should happen. Some believe certain things shouldn't.
And like, what do you mean certain things shouldn't? Like, I feel like I'm so green.
So everyone, so each person knows how they want their persons to be pleased. Right?
Okay.
Right? I know we're Christian stuff,
like the homeboy
taboo
and them
stuff, but you know, we are adults now. Like, we are adults, kind of grown.
Yeah.
And we have children.
And for the young viewers, this adult conversation.
I'm sucking it up.
We got kids, okay?
Dear God.
Adult conversation.
Make me a bird.
This makes me think about Lillian. Oh Lord.
But
Jesus.
you know, you can't withhold it because
You can't.
then it gets to the point where the person gets frustrated because they have this expectation, and maybe sometimes we do have unrealistic expectations.
Right. That's true.
But still, even yet, you should be communicating at some point. You should be saying, "Well, I'm here." Mm-hmm. You know, where are you? You down here? You here?
And I expect this. And is this the issue, or can you meet my expectations, or vice versa? What is it that you expect from me in the bedroom, or how do you want this, or you know, for it to be communicated, so when you get there, that there is no
surprises.
surprises.
So,
yes,
y'all, I'm shaking, like literally shaking. So you're saying it's okay, or conversations have to be had before you get married, or when you're like at the point of engagement? I don't think you should have these conversations on that boyfriend girlfriend level.
Right. So, well, I don't know, because I don't know
because it creates curiosity.
It does.
And
But that's why I also feel like you should also have that boundaries. You know, we may discuss it just so we know in the future, but we're not going there.
Yeah, well, you know, someone that wants to be serious, and you want to be serious with them,
once
you want to take it to that level, then it's like, you know, you need to have that conversation.
And then what if you don't have it though, and then you're engaged with someone, and it's like, oh, now we're here, and you don't meet that,
and you don't do that, and I want that, and you don't want to do that.
True story. I know of somebody who got married, and I don't know how they got married in a whole hot second, and she complained about her action in the dark, and they should have that conversation. So I feel like now you can't just leave because of that reason. You have to find other reasons that make you happy to stay there. And how powerful is the bedroom when you're married? I don't know.
That's intimacy.
I think it's very powerful, because if it wasn't, it would not have been mentioned in the Bible when it says the marriage bed is undefiled. I feel like if it wasn't an important factor, it wouldn't have been at all mentioned in the Bible.
Okay, so I look at it as that's a part of you no one gets. That's between you and your spouse. That's between, so that is a part of you that no one else gets. So it is very important to me. That's because that's intimacy between you and your spouse.
So does it matter to a point where you're like, hey, this ain't kicking it, I'm getting a divorce? Or is it
and divorce is another subject, another taboo subject.
That's so true. Because,
oh my God.
You know, I heard a lot of people say that once you marry, you're married to stay in it, and you go through every single ups and downs, regardless of what happens, no matter what, you stay. And I would have to disagree on that. Even though the Bible talks about if there's infidelity in the relationship, that kind of,
And that's our belief. We believe in the Bible, and I am a firm believer to staying wherever you feel safe. And if you're in an environment with your spouse and you don't feel safe because they hit you or they're cheating, that makes your heart feel unsafe, I wouldn't stay. I just couldn't do it. Some women can. However, this lady right here in the maroon could not do it. And I don't, sometimes when people fail at marriage and maybe they're in another marriage and that marriage is failing, they stay because they don't want to seem like it failed. And I think getting divorced, sometimes it makes it feel like you failed.
It does.
Like, okay, I failed at this, and you are hesitant to get into another relationship. You're a little slowful, and you don't want to do it again. Then you get into one, and you get married again, and it's starting to head down the rocky road. You don't want to probably tell anybody what's going on. I think the divorce is definitely taboo.
And that's so sad, because a lot of people stay in things because they worry about what other people think.
Get out when you can.
And people will give you advice in marriages, and they wouldn't take the same advice.
Oh my girl, air high five. That true. That is crazy. Somebody advised you, but girl, I wouldn't take that. And they were whatever.
They're taking it.
They end up having it.
I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Taking it.
All right, like, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? Or you should just leave.
I feel like when it comes to certain things, the power of your yes and the power of your no, you have to know the weight that it carries. You can continue on something just by saying yes, I'll continue into this by the decision that you make, or you can say no to yourself. Cut it off. This is no longer acceptable. This is a no-go. This is this is an area that we're not going to do. Once you realize, I feel like the power of your yes and your no in any part of your life, you are able to, I'm gonna say move yourself along, but you're able to you govern your life that way.
I think when you know what you're willing to take, what you're not going to take, what you're going to accept, what you're not going to accept, what you're going to allow, not allow, whatever, you can decipher who comes before you, and you can decipher if you're staying or leaving. You don't ponder and making decisions.
So going back to just the idea, the taboo idea, which is divorce. So you want a divorce, but you don't get a divorce because you're afraid of what people think. So you put that smile on and you pop that back and make it seem as everything is okay and you're not okay. Yeah. Behind closed doors, you are miserable. That I think is what we're talking about, and so those what am I trying to say? The perspective or the when a person looks at the persona, can you kind of get tangled up in being fake? Because you want God, so you represent God, right? So you want things to be to look like everything is good, right? You want things to be good because you believe in God, and good things come from God. Right. So you want everything to look good, right? So you're not good, but you want things to look good.
Ooh,
that's big. So is it okay to admit that maybe you've made a mistake? So I know I've heard women. I've heard women say that they prayed for God if they should marry a person or not, and necessarily didn't get an answer, or they didn't God didn't say yes, marry this person, right? And they made the decision anyway to get married. So is it okay when you start to experience all these things that, hey, maybe I made a mistake and I did not hear the voice of God, and I moved on how I felt and my emotions, and I jumped into this because the Lord didn't say halt me. Some of us, I feel like some women expect God to halt them and be like, no, you make a decision, so no, I'm gonna stop you. And maybe that's not how the Lord works. When it comes to that, when we make a decision, He lets us, because we have a choice, He allows us to act out our decisions.
So that probably goes into divorce, right? So say for instance, they were I didn't hear from God, and now they're married. They're I didn't make this decision. I didn't made a commitment to this, and then they endure it. Because,
God.
Right?
Oh God. So, you think they're thinking of that scripture that says endure hardness?
That doesn't apply. Oh Lord, you said endure hardness. I'm done. That is hilarious.
That is that's very hard for me to talk on, but because just thinking of someone who has entered into a covenant with someone else who they prayed about and they didn't get a definite yes. And sometimes people say, well, sometimes God doesn't talk to you that way. He doesn't give you a definite answer, but He'll start giving you signs, and you start seeing flashing lights. You start seeing flashing lights. You'll start thinking that crosswalk
answer.
That you'll start pulling signs. Ooh, that's it. Oh, I did. And no, that could very well be deception,
right?
Something pulling you. Oh my gosh, right there.
That's good.
It's like a trap. When you're trying to trap something, you present something that they desire and want.
That makes me think of the scripture that says, my sheep know my voice, and another they will not follow, because it lets you know that not only does God speak, but the enemy speaks as well. So God gives you a sign, but the enemy can, make this thing look good, and you think it's the Lord.
Construed vision.
And because you want something, so some women, they feel like they don't want something, but deep down, sometimes they do, and they can't admit that. So when you see something, you're confusing that sign as for the Lord.
And you know what? The law of attraction too. You can will something. You can want something so bad. I believe you can will it into existence, and you believe it so much.
Wow.
You get lost in reality, and the reality is that was not a sign. That was not a yes. That indeed was just your imagination. But you're taking it as a yes. This is the way I should go. Yes, this is what we should do. This is where we should invest. And in reality, that was really a setup to entrap you into something that you ain't got no business being in, and to suck from you, take from you, because ultimately, 3 reasons: steal, kill, destroy.
Yeah, and it may not happen right away, but eventually, that's the end goal.
Yeah, because it makes me think of a relationships period, or it's marriage. Sometimes there can be points to where it will make you draw close to God. You be like, Lord, I know you are the only one that work this thing out.
Yeah.
But then you think of it too, like if the relationship is sucking so much out of you, you ain't got nothing left, then maybe you should be like, Lord, I don't know, Lord. I don't know, Lord. You don't work this thing out real quick, Lord. But that is the importance of having a relationship with God too.
Yeah. And I think it's something else that's good to be talked about is finances as well.
Oh, that's finances.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely.
Some people say this is your bank account, this is my bank account. Some people say let's put our money together. I think that so one of my friends used to be engaged, and she moved back to the city, and I was having a conversation with her. I was like, how are you doing? How was your relationship? And she mentioned to me that she never knew how much he made. She never seen any of his paycheck stuff. She didn't know anything. He didn't want to tell her how much she was making. And she was like, you know what, that's too much for me. Like, if you can't share this part, especially if you're going to be living together, if I don't know about your finances, and we're not meeting eye to eye here, that was a no-go for her. So I feel like finances is definitely a great discussion to have.
So when you're engaged, do you kind of pull back all that layer, and you want to know and see bank statements? You want to know how much they make a year? Does that really matter?
I think it does.
Okay.
What do you think? You think money matters?
Well, I guess definitely.
Well, it has to matter if people get divorced over money, right?
I mean, money does matter because you do want to have an understanding. If you're a mature person when it comes to finances, and that person is immature when it comes to finances, definitely want to know. You need a little help with this. Is this an area that I need to need to work in? So it is important. Some women do believe in having their own account. And then having a unified account. I don't know. It all depends on what works for.
I've always wondered. Maybe we got to bring somebody on here. I've always wondered how it works for couples who share and those who don't share. Because I think when I get married, we have to share our accounts.
So that depends on you.
That's my preference. Yeah.
And then some men feel like this is my money. You can't touch. So I feel like that's a great discussion.
Some men are like, I'll take care of everything. Yeah. What's yours is yours.
That's rare too.
That's what you want to spend on it. So it just all depends on the
how women say that you always supposed to save a little extra money in a whole another separate bank account.
Get you a rabbit hole.
You hide that money. I think that's ungodly. I'm so sorry. I think that's ungodly.
I know it's ungodly to have you a little.
You said because people say save it just because you never know what's gonna happen, especially.
That speaks to a lot of things. Because that speaks to a lot of things. That speaks to more than just that. That speaks to more than just that.
Is it wisdom?
I feel like that's wisdom. That's like a little saying.
So is that saying that you're expecting for things to go
right?
I don't personally view it as that. I feel like things can happen, right? So if you have a little money saved, Sometimes when people don't know about having you, how much money you have, they're not gonna ask for it.
Yeah.
You tell people I have $10, they were like, well, do you got $5? So if they don't know about it, they're not gonna ask for it.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we are talking all things taboo today. If all hearts and minds are clear. We thank you all for so much for tuning in to Now Let's Get Chatty. If you have not subscribed below, please do so now, especially if you like what you see on this channel. You will find us having uncandid conversations, real conversations, things that are happening every day in life. We are so glad that you tuned in. Thank you for subscribing. We love you so much. Mwah. You all have a great one. Work.